I love being a plant pathologist, so yes.
Right, the sweet salty tears of joy and the buttery sweat, right?
Not sure about buttery sweat, but...
Welcome to the Undergrowth. This is where we speak to celebrated scientists and eminent educators about plants and pests. Let us embrace knowledge together on this expedition into mysterious realms. This is the Undergrowth, and I'm Sebastian Eugene Bartholomew. Today I have the distinct pleasure of talking with Dr. Alison Robertson, an extension plant pathologist and professor with the Royal Academy of Iowa State University. She works for the PPEM department, and for those of you who do not know, that stands for Pathologist Punching Entomology Miscreants. Is that correct, Dr. Robertson?
Something like that.
Something like that? Oh, yeah. I was very nearly wrong there, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Right.
Just a little.
Right, well, tell our intrepid listeners out there of the adventures that you have taken to become a plant pathologist at the Royal Academy.
I arrived here in 2004. I like to tell people that Iowa State gave me a job, and then they gave me tenure, and now they can't get rid of me.
Oh, indeed. I run into something like that myself sometimes. My club. So what do you enjoy most about being a plant pathologist?
Being a plant pathologist means that I study diseases on corn and soybeans, and I love learning about how pathogens interact with their hosts to cause diseases. I also love working with farmers and other stakeholders, teaching them how to identify those diseases and then manage those diseases, the best ways to manage them.
My. Sounds like you are quite a busy person, Dr. Robertson.
Just a little. Keeps me out of mischief.
Yes, indeed. Well, I know that you are fond of swimming, and so I've got kind of an icebreaker question to start things out with.
Yes.
If you were stranded in the Pacific Ocean, treading water, say, for a few hours, maybe 16 hours, and you had to choose whether or not to fight off one angry great white shark or 1,000 just a little bit ornery piranhas, but still very hungry, which would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. Probably the great white shark, because I just have one person, one fish to fight against, rather than 1,000.
Right, yeah, you punch it in the nose. And,
something like that, poke it in the eye.
Yes, it's very hard to fight off. 1,000,000 teeth, just, 40 big teeth.
Yes.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us into our next question. What is tar spot of corn, and what does it want from farmers?
So tar spot of corn is a disease of corn that was identified here in the US the first time in 2015 in Indiana.
Were people just not looking for it before?
No, it just arrived here somehow. We don't know how. And
Transcontinental Railroad?
Yeah, maybe.
Airplane?
Maybe.
Bioterrorist backpack?
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were saying.
And since then, it has spread throughout the corn belt. You recognize it because it causes these tiny black spots on a corn leaf. And then what happens is that corn leaf is not able to photosynthesize efficiently, and therefore it doesn't fill the grain as well, and so it causes yield loss. So farmers are not getting the yields from their crop that they would do if they had a healthy crop.
So little tiny spots on the corn leaf keep it from photosynthesizing.
Yes.
Does that mean that people with freckles don't photosynthesize as much as people without freckles?
Do people photosynthesize?
Do they?
I don't think so.
Is it true that tar spot is a nefarious biological weapon engineered by an evil artificial intelligence that wants to drive humankind from the face of this planet, send us out into the stars in little colonizing ships to inhabit other worlds when our own becomes uninhabitable?
I guess that's a great conspiracy theory.
There's no evidence for that?
No, I don't think so.
Are you not researching that?
No.
Well, let's say I was a farmer and I was growing corn plants in my field. How would I best identify this malady known as tar spot?
So identifying tar spot when it first starts it's pretty difficult.
Right.
The tar spots are very small. They can be the size of a pinhead. What I do is I look for a black spot on the leaf, and then I turn over the leaf and look at the underside of the leaf and see if I can see that black spot on the underneath of the leaf as well.
Okay. What if I was to come across, say, a bug poop in the field? How would I tell the difference?
Yes, so bug poop can be easily mistaken for tar spot. So one of the things that you can do is try and rub or scratch the spot to see if it comes off. Sometimes bug poop can be extremely sticky, and so it might be hard to get it off.
Bugs have sticky butts.
Yes, they do, very sticky butts. Yep. And so that's why I like to turn the leaf over and look at the underside, because bug poop won't soak all the way through the leaf. It'll just stay on the top surface of the leaf, whereas tar spot will grow all the way through the leaf.
Why didn't they just call this bug poop spot?
That's awesome. Yes, I agree. That would be a really great name for this. Maybe we should start calling it that.
If anyone out there from the American Phytopathological Society Common Name Collection Unit is listening to this, please, you hear the request now to change tar spot to bug poop spot. Does tar spot taste different than other plant diseases?
Taste different? I can't say that I've ever tasted any of corn diseases, so I wouldn't know. I don't usually go about chewing on corn leaves when I'm wandering about a cornfield. I do carry nacho chips with me.
Right, in case you want something that's flat and you want to just eat something flat and you see a corn leaf and you say, not that, nachos.
Yes, exactly.
How does one go about managing this nefarious ne'er-do-well known as tar spot?
So at the moment, the best way to manage a disease is usually with a resistant hybrid.
Oh.
But we don't have a lot of those at the moment. The corn breeders are working on finding resistance. And so the best way that we can manage tar spot is by using a fungicide.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah. So those are usually applied as the corn's tasseling, and they'll be applied using airplanes or ground rigs, so if they're high enough to drive through the field, and then they will apply a fungicide. And hopefully we just need one fungicide application to get us through grain fill and protect that yield.
Very interesting. Now, many of our intrepid listeners out there will know that many corn seeds are first dipped in a little bit of fungicide before each farmer lovingly pats them down into the soil in the springtime. Now, in order to manage tar spot, why don't they send people out into the field at about this time of year, dig up the corn plants, turn them upside down, dip them into a vat of fungicide, put them back in the ground, pat the roots back around, make nice soil dirt contact, and then water them a little bit, and then go on to the next corn plant. It sounds like a lot of work to fly an airplane over the field or put a ground rig. Why not just dip the plants?
That's a great idea, but have you ever dug up a 12-foot corn plant?
I can't imagine it would be that difficult.
Well, it is at the moment when we haven't had rain for the last 3 or 4 weeks and the ground is like concrete. I think flying an airplane is probably easier and likely a lot more fun.
Right, right. Well, have you done any research to back up that assertion?
No, I haven't. That's a great question, and we should always have research to back up our opinions, yeah.
Right, so maybe we can lobby the federal government because we know how much they care about farmers.
Yeah, perhaps we could collaborate on a grant. Maybe you could be a co-PI.
Right, right. Yes, yes. I am looking to get tenure, and maybe that will be the clincher right there.
Yeah, could be.
Indeed. Where does one go if they need to know more about tar spot?
I would say the best place to go is onto the web and search Crop Protection Network. And the Crop Protection Network is a website that has a whole lot of information about all sorts of diseases on corn and soybean and other field crops. And that's where I would go.
Those fellas over at the Crop Protection Network have their hands full, and they seem to have it pretty well together over there, don't they?
Yeah, they do an okay job.
Oh, this conversation has been most exhilarating. It reminds me of a time back at university. The lads and I were in a rugby match with the boys from Camden Row up in Berkshire. Oh, I remember the final scrum of the game. We were locked and I could taste the iron of the blood between my teeth. I could feel the buttery sweat rolling from my underarms. I could feel the gritty, lathery mud between the folds of my neck and the sweet, salty taste of the tears of victory that rolled down my cheeks as we crushed the souls from the bones of those boys from Camden Row and Berkshire. Oh, the glory. Is that what it feels like to be a plant pathologist, Dr. Robertson?
I guess I've never thought about plant pathology being like rugby, but sure.
I was more thinking the glory.
Yes. I love being a plant pathologist, so yes.
Right. The sweet, salty tears of joy and the buttery sweat, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Indeed.
I'm not sure about buttery sweat, but...
Listeners, we have had ample opportunity for brain development today during this most interesting discourse with Dr. Robertson on the plant disease known as tar spot. Thank you for your expertise and your adventurous spirit, Dr. Robertson.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yes, indeed. This is the Undergrowth.
All of the entomologists I know are very friendly and very nice to me.
Perhaps it's the other way around.
Perhaps it is.
Perhaps I'm the angry one.
Perhaps.
Perhaps I need to go to counseling.
Perhaps.
You've opened my eyes.
Good.